If you've ever wondered how to lead with purpose without burning out, or how to build something that matters far beyond profit, Darryl's story is going to challenge you and inspire you today. Welcome, Darryl.
Thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here.
Yeah, very excited. Okay, let's dive right in. Let's start with your origins story. What was the spark that led to you to create She's My Daughter?
I had the incredible opportunity to be a youth advocate at my church about 20 years ago. And I would not only work in my church, but also go around to other communities and or I would share this seminar, and it was called If You Didn't Know, Now You Know. And really, what it was about was helping parents understand some of the potential setbacks and also some of the dangers in the media. And when I was doing my research, Deanna, I found out how much dishonor and violence there was against women throughout music and throughout media. And I
You're
knew that if I
exactly right.
stood up and spoke out as a man, that I could make a difference in the lives of women around the globe. And so we started She's My Daughter with this idea that if every man would treat every woman with the same dignity and respect that he would want for his own daughter, we could eradicate violences against women, such as human trafficking, domestic violence, and sexual assault.
Oh, what a wonderful mission. Yes, you found a problem. You realized there was a problem, and it kind of come to light to you, it sounds like, and you went for it.
Absolutely, and it's so important for all of us to take whatever sparks that we have to try to make the world a better place, that we take those steps to really make that happen. And, we'll get into this later in the conversation, but oftentimes it can be just the smallest thing, the smallest gesture, the smallest word that makes the difference in someone's lives throughout the people that we know in our own sphere of influence.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, let's talk about the movement. Your mission is about mobilizing men to step up, to treat every woman as if they were their own daughter. What does that look like in action?
It looks like this. First of all, we need to make sure that we understand what honor and respect look like. And for
True.
all fathers know that the relationship with their own daughter is very, very special. It's very, very delicate. We would do anything for our daughters. As a matter of fact, we might do too much for them just because we love them so much. It's the relationship, Dan, that doesn't have to be worked on. It's just something within every man that wants a
Yeah.
special life for his own daughter. And if, first of all, we can understand that, we take that same honor and dignity that we would want for our girls and put that on every other woman that we come in contact with, we will have a whole different community and different society. I remember when my daughter was going away to college, she kind of tricked me to go all the way across country to San Francisco to
Oh
go to
no.
school. Yeah, yeah. It was time to look at colleges, and at first she was going to stay on the East Coast. We were in Washington, D.C.,
Mhm.
and looking around at schools here. But then we went to a college fair, and it was for a school in San Francisco. And when we were going there, she said, "Dad, I'm not really going to go here. I just want to check this school out." Before you know it, we were signing paperwork, and she was in San Francisco. And then I thought
Um,
to myself, man, I hope and pray that men there would treat her with honor and respect and dignity, the honor, respect, and dignity that she deserves.
yes.
And so that's what I want for my own daughter. And if I
Yeah.
do genuinely want that for her, I should really want that for everyone else's daughter that I come in contact with.
Could you walk us through those programs and how they bring healing and empowerment to women?
Absolutely. One of the things we did earlier on, even in the early stages of She's My Daughter, in an unofficial way, my wife would put together these teas for two groups of people. She would put them together for our young nieces, and they would have, sort of the tea, if you will, dress up really, really nicely
Oh
and
yeah.
just have a great time talking amongst one another. And we would give them some positive, encouraging messages. But the highlight of those teas was I was the butler. And I would come out and do all the serving. They absolutely love it. Many of them are in late stages of high school now, and they always remember that particular situation. But it was an
Yeah.
opportunity for us to bestow on them the value that they deserve. One of the
Yeah.
stats that we always look at is this a stat that the greater levels of self-esteem young girls have, the less likely they are to fall prey to predators often online. So
Yeah.
when you instill that in whatever way you can do it, you instill in them confidence and courage so that when people, again, on and offline are trying to entice them into those bad places, they have the ability to say, no, that's not for me. This is not who I am. I'm better than that. And so we're excited
Absolutely.
with what that T has done, even in our nieces, and expanding that here in our region and also in places around the globe. The
Wow.
second thing we work on is the reconnect. It is so important that we believe that fathers and male leaders and guardians are part of the upbringing of children. And when there are fathers involved, we want them to be connected and to stay connected, or guardians. Sometimes the father's not involved for whatever reason, but some
Sure.
male figure to be involved in their lives in the growth and development of who they can become. So we help dads reconnect with their daughters, those who have been estranged, because
Oh,
we know
that's
time,
wonderful.
yeah, time can come into play, and people are ashamed, right? There's guilt, and then
Sure.
people grow further and further apart. But I want to
Yeah.
tell every dad who's listening, that your daughter needs you. She needs to hear your voice in her
Yes,
life.
she
She
does.
yearns for it. Even if you have that separation, do whatever you can to reconnect. And so we work with fathers who are on the outside, if you will, but also, Deanna, we're starting to work with men in the prisons as well. And so
Oh,
often
okay.
they get easily separated from their daughter.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
you'll hear them say stuff like, hey, I don't want her to see me in this place. I don't want her to see me in this condition. And before you know it, a year, 5 years, 20 years has gone by. They
Yeah.
haven't made that connection they need with their daughters. Now, certainly there are some men, very few men, some small percentage who've done something against women, and maybe they need to be by themselves on their own. But for the greatest number, they haven't done anything against their daughters at all.
Yeah.
And they need to know that their daughter still needs them, even if it's them writing letters, sending emails, doing
Sure.
even small things like that on a consistent basis to let your girl know that you still love her and she's still daddy's little girl.
And she's still a very important person. Yes. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so wherever we are in life, we can make that happen. You know, it might not happen overnight, but through small bits of consistency, we can see a change in our relationship with our daughters. And that will change how she lives now and also for the rest of her life.
Yes. And how she raises her children after that, too, as well. Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm
Generations.
generation Club Free is a program just developed by my wife. And what she wanted to do is instill confidence in young ladies. And so we're building a center here, working alongside some other organizations to build a center called Club Free, where women come in, girls come in, some who have gone through tragic situations, others who we don't want to have to go through
Yeah.
situations of violation, and again, help build and grow and develop their self-esteem. And so it'll be a curriculum-based program that we'll do on Saturdays here to really build and help grow them into the best version of who they can be.
Wow. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Okay, let's talk about the personal connection. You came from music and business background. How has that shaped the way you lead this work today?
Absolutely, the value
Yeah,
and the
true.
opportunity of entrepreneurism, and also the value of taking risks, right? And doing those things
Yeah.
and growing your money in this way. And so one of the things I did was I had always had a love for music. I'm a piano player. You probably see a little
I see
piano
it
in the
there.
background.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I said, you know what? I want to take my love for music, but also my understanding of business and put together a music school, which I did and honed that for about
Hmm.
20, 23 years right here in center Washington, D.C. And so
Okay.
I always knew, did not want to be a broke musician. So I'm so grateful to God that I was able to put business sense, right? The things I learned in my father that I hated, into a music school. And so that's the development I had as an entrepreneur. And I take that into the work that we're doing at She's My Daughter to understand systems and processes and also the discipline that it takes to even run a nonprofit. But
Yeah.
one of the things we're doing with entrepreneurship as well, we've partnered with Gen Z artists around the globe, and we're creating a clothing line. It's called All Be Free, and it'll be dropping here later on this year. And the idea behind that is we're taking clothing, putting graphics of hope, empowerment, and freedom on them, and selling them to support the work that we do and others do around the globe in the fight against violence towards women. Our 5-year goal for that is to actually have women survivors of atrocities uh, a market and also manage the company themselves. So we'll be teaching them the
Wow.
entrepreneurial skills that we've learned, help them grow and develop. Because very often after they've gone through those atrocities, it's very hard for them to maintain a job, right? Because people don't necessarily understand the trauma they've been through, and they often jettison them off as, the angry
Yeah.
woman
Yeah.
without realizing they could have gone through something so traumatic. So we want to create an amazing workspace for them to come and to be able to take care of themselves and their families. So we've had designs literally from around the globe that have come in, and we continue that process, the contest. So we send that out to high schools around the country, also colleges as well. And one of the strategic things about high schools and colleges, we knew that if we changed how women are treated around the globe, and this being a long-term process, we had to do two things. We had to galvanize the attention of men, right? Number one. And the
Uh-huh.
second thing, we had to galvanize the attention of Gen Z because they're one of the most sort of socially conscious groups that we've seen ever. And if we can get them in the fight against violence towards women, that means that we have this fight growing for a long time. And so that's where a lot of the designs come from. So women survivors, but also a lot
Uh-huh.
of Gen Z artists around the globe as well.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Okay, let's talk about some of that impact. Can you share a story of someone whose life has been touched by She's My Daughter that still moves you today?
Absolutely. I remember we had a fundraising concert several years ago. And at all of our concerts, my family is always there. And my actual daughter, who's 30 now, she had the opportunity to come and be a part of it when she came home from school. And I was just celebrating her and the accomplishments and this amazing woman that she is. And I
Uh-huh.
was doing that on the stage. And I'll never forget, there was a girl who came after the concert, just came up to me, and she was about 15 years old, and she was weeping just profusely. And I was like, what's happening? What's going on? And I'll
Yeah.
never forget. She told me, she said, you know what? I never had my dad in my life, never had a man to celebrate me in such a way. And she said it just broke my heart. But she said that made me committed to being a young lady who didn't want to be promiscuous, but wanted to be a part of a family and have children in the right context. And that moment right there really changed and altered her life. So we stayed in contact with her, and she's just on the path of making good decisions. We had another
Yeah.
young lady who was in one of our classes, and I'll never forget when she first came in to take classes from us, and
Hmm.
you just knew something awful had happened in her life. And at the end of about 4 or 5 months, her self-esteem was so transformed that even then, just after that amount of time, you could not keep her quiet for anything in the world. She had the
That's
most
wonderful.
amazing eye contact. Of course, she'll look you straight in the eye. She'll have a
Um,
full-length conversation with you. And it's just so amazing to see that transformation
yeah.
if you're just willing to take small steps over a long amount of time, you will see transformation in someone's life. So I just want to encourage everybody on the sound of my voice to make that investment in every person you come in contact with, men especially, every woman you come in contact with, to say words of encouragement, hope, empowerment, freedom. Women too often just get spoken about in terms of their body, and social media sort of amplifies that whole idea. But they need to know about their intellect, right? And their
Yeah.
determination and their drive and the power that they have. And that doesn't take a lot. It doesn't cost you any amount of money to say great words about somebody.
It doesn't. And you do have to know that, if you the more timid your daughters are, the less outspoken they are, the more that kind of, I hate to say it, but it kind of uh, it makes them susceptible to possibly being abused in a lot of ways. They need to have that strength. They need to have that courage. They need to have that being able to speak up and speak out. Do you agree?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That was so important to say. I'll say it, Dean, I'll say it, that if they are that way, in that shape, they're very timid, they're being preyed on, Prey. Uh,
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. It's like there are predators out there who see the weak animal, if you will, and that's who they go after. So
Yeah.
it's so important to have not an arrogant, but a confident young lady who knows
Right.
who she is, who knows her worth, who gets positivity and hope from home. So when she
Right.
goes out and there's some person out there who gives her something different, but less than what she deserves, she knows how to say no, no.
That's right. That's
Not doing
exactly
that,
right.
not going there, not listening to that negativity. I've got something better that I'm going towards.
Yeah. So it's important that we give them a voice.
Give
We
them a
give
voice.
them,
And like you just spoke about this idea of fathers being absent. And that's why it's so important to fathers to be connected, stay connected if you can. And if you're disconnected, get reconnected. If you were a robber, right? Not that you are, Deanne, I know you're not. But
yeah.
if you were, right, and
Right.
a house had a pit bull there, you would go to another house or another neighborhood, right?
Sure would.
Right. Now, I'm not calling men dogs. Of course, we're not.
No.
But what I am saying, there's a presence that they have. And if a man would stand up in his own house, that predator is going to go somewhere else. And what if we took this, then? What if not only we did it in our homes, we got together men in our communities and we
Yeah.
stood for something that was empowering our young women? They would have to go to a different community. We could build and grow this thing so that predators are a thing of the past, and that's what
We
we're excited
could.
about.
We
Yeah,
really could. Yes, we could. So let's talk about the role of men. Sometimes men want to help, but they don't know where to start. What are some practical first steps for men listening today to get involved in creating this change?
I'll give you two easy ones. Number one, to all the women in your sphere of influence, make sure that you are known as the chief encouragement officer. Um,
Okay.
in your sphere of influence, as simple as kind words, right? Words that build up, words that lift up. Doesn't cost you anything to say a kind word to someone or
No.
an empowering word to someone. Number two is to, with your own daughters, do activities that she loves to do. And while you're doing those activities that she loves to do, make sure you love to do them as well. Okay. They'll remember for the rest of their lives.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, let's talk about the rest of our lives, that legacy and vision. What is your long-term vision for She's My Daughter, and where do you see it movement going in the next 5 to 10 years?
Absolutely. So, our long term vision for She's My Daughter is to have clubs in high schools around the globe. Again, we have to connect with Gen Z and those other generations that come after them to really come to the end of this problem right here. And we know we can do it. In society, we've cured all kinds of diseases. We come to the end of all kinds of significant problems, right? We've
Right,
brought crime down in many, many places. We can do whatever we want to as long as we make a concerted effort to do it. And
right.
so for us, we want to have these all be free clubs in many, many high schools and colleges around the country. We're excited about them to get Gen Z and generations after them encouraged to keep domestic violence, sexual assault, and human trafficking as things of the past.
Yeah,
Our also goal is to create this reverse peer pressure. So many times, men in their clubs and groups will say things about women or treat women certain ways, right? Or have certain opinions of them. And that becomes or has become too cool and too okay, right? We
yeah,
want to have a reverse sense that men stand up and say, listen, no, that's not cool. We treat women this way, right? I
right.
treat women in the same way that I want my daughter to be treated. And so if we could
Yeah,
do several things like that, here for the next long-term period, we can have a complete change on how women are treated all around the globe.
We can. We can. And you know, sometimes, this is a good lesson for women too. Sometimes women against women is we're sometimes our worst enemy as well. We need to support each other and lift each other up and give all those encouraging things as well.
Absolutely.
Any
Absolutely.
anything additional you want us to know that you haven't already talked about today, Darryl?
I want to say to everybody, just take these small steps. And they might be some things that we have. You might find some things on our website, or even things that you come up with to make those small steps so that women and girls can feel empowered and they can move about in a world without fear of violence. And there's one story I always love. One of my favorite movies is Schindler's List. And I remember at the end of the movie, Oscar Schindler, he's about to leave, right? The war is over. He's
Mhm.
got to go in hiding. And so he gets out of his car, and all the Jewish people that he rescued in his factory are standing around and thanking him. Everybody's weeping. But he begins to look at jewelry that he had on his hand, his watch. And he said, listen, if I'd have sold this watch right here, I could have saved several more people. If I didn't need this expensive coat, many more Jews would have gotten saved. If I could have cashed in this fine, expensive car that I have, I could have rescued many more Jewish
Mm,
people from the Holocaust. And I
mm,
want to encourage everybody, as you think about that right there, to understand that you need to do whatever you need to do to be a part of having a better world for the women in your lives. Take the opportunity right now to do whatever you need to do. Number one, to reconnect with your own daughter if you're disengaged,
mhm.
but also take this opportunity to say, I'm going to stand up and speak up against violence towards women. So at the end of my life, I can say, I did everything I could to make sure their lives were better.
Yeah. Oh, good stuff. Okay, Darryl, before we wrap it up, I want to let you know that I'm putting together, I put for my guest a full Builder's Edge guest promo kit. And it's filled with graphics, reels, things like that for you to post and share to make it really easy to get this conversation out in front of more of your network. Will you commit to kind of sharing those when the episode goes live so more people can hear about She's My Daughter and the mission that's behind it?
Absolutely.
Wonderful.
Absolutely.
Okay. Also, too, Darryl, before you go, the let's talk about impact. One of the best parts of running this podcast is meeting leaders like you, Darryl, who are building movements and businesses that change lives, right? They're making legacies. If you know of a local business owner who's maybe looking to grow or dominate their market, someone who could use a partner to help them annihilate their local competition and stay, sane, avoiding burnout at the same time, I'd love it if you'd send them my way.
Be glad to. I've got some people in mind.
All right, I appreciate that. Okay, now for you listener, here's today's Builder's Edge challenge. You know I've always got one, so this is a biggie. Take a moment to evaluate your relationships with your women in your life. Think about that. Are you leading with respect, love, dignity in the way you'd be proud of? And if the answer is yes, then great. Keep building on that foundation. Keep going. Just put a little gas behind it and keep it up. But if not, let this be your conversation wake up call. Change starts today with one choice, one action, and one relationship. Darryl, thank you for sharing your story and your mission with us here today. You've been inspired. If you've been inspired and want to get involved with She's My Daughter, whether it's as a volunteer, a donor, or simply to learn more, you can go to she'smydaughter.com or you can reach out directly to Darryl at she'smydaughter.com. And to you, my listener, remember success without purpose is empty. The edge we're building here isn't just about growing businesses, it's about creating lives and legacies without that burnout. Until next time, keep building with wisdom, keep building with courage, and keep building with heart. Thank you.